You're in.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand finals of the EGC TV African Championship. Oh yes, it's me. I'm sure Drongo will introduce anyone who may not be familiar, but I expect most people are. Here we have, starting on the left-hand side of the map, in the color, I can't really tell, a color blue. It almost looked like the color that Maito often uses, but this is not Maito. In fact, Maito was eliminated in one of the first rounds. This is Aizamk, who I think also needs no introduction. Immediately eating that first cattle, getting that granary up, and his cows already on that livestock market, playing as the Hausa. Indeed. His opponent spawning on the right-hand side of the map in the color green, I believe. I can see, rather, also playing as an African civ. So an African mirror of sorts, but they are playing the two different civs. And I think Drongo can introduce the format, but Knuschelbar playing as the Ethiopians here, doing very similar things.
Definitely doing very similar things and similar openings. Both players starting with a granary, the unique building for the African civilization. So yeah, we can talk a little bit about the format interjection. So both players are going to be playing in the first two matches, Hausa and Ethiopia. So we're going to start off this game with Knuschelbar playing the Ethiopians and Aizamk playing the Hausa. And then next game they're going to be switching no matter the result. And then the next game after that, one player is going to be playing a non-African civ, so that means either a European, an Asian, or a native civilization, or a United States civilization if they so choose. And the other player is going to be playing an African civilization, and then they're going to be switching it up. So it's just going to continue reversing like that until they finally get through to the last, I think it's six or game number 6, game number 7. And then that's when they've sort of got more free picks. But I suspect both players are probably going to be looking to be playing the African civilizations. They're quite strong at the moment. Definitely,
Yes.
definitely a little bit stronger than what we thought they would be. I remember when the first week came out and we were playing them, and I was thinking, oh, these civilizations they're pretty good. Like, you know, there's a lot of nice little build orders that we've got for them worked out. We didn't even know half the stuff that was going on. Now the sort of build orders that are in existence are just absolute insanity. So we can see right now that Noosh is sending in the 4 semi-fattened cattle. I'm sure Aizamk probably doing the same thing if he hasn't already. He's actually gone with the 3 villagers, and his deck is called No Layman here. Well, Aizamk, it might be the cost of the tournament if you don't lame, my friend.
Well, we'll be the judges of whether or not he's laming. But interestingly, not opening with the university, which has been something people have been quite fond of. Although, judging from Azam's previous matches, I expect to see something a bit quicker from him. And judging by those cows that the Ethiopian player was, that's certainly one way to do it. Funny thing about those cows, they're actually containing 250 food, and a semi-fattened animal contains 2/5, or it should. So these are actually, because Zebu cattle usually have 100 in them when you spawn them, these have a bit of extra food in them that should not be there. So currently this card, I think, very, very good and probably contributing at least a little bit to the start. Although cattle more generally, I'm just gonna say, I think the biggest issue is the number of starting cattle you have, right? Like that's just so many resources, and you can do these 10/10s, and you just have all of these resources available. But perhaps it's better this way. At least you know the United States, when that Civ came out, it felt a bit underwhelming, and I think starting with just an extra animal was a safe way to make sure that that wouldn't be the case. But yeah, House, judging from I can't give any details, but they have the highest win rate that there is.
All right, well, we'll infer from that there's probably going to be some nerfs, but yeah, I don't think that surprises too many people. There's been a lot of rush strategies that have been developing with the Hausa, so I really wouldn't be surprised to see something like, you know, a 60-65% win rate for that civilization. Even within the first, say, 7 minutes of the game, it really wouldn't surprise me, just because of how strong that is. When you combine cards like Aizamk doesn't actually have them in his deck at the moment, but the 10 warriors that you pay for with 500 coin, an incredibly good card, or an effective card. So
Oh,
Yeah.
That's on the list, don't worry. Shall we check in with what the players are doing? It looks like both going to be getting up at a very respectable time of 4 minutes here. Knuschelbar going up very quickly. And I expect Aizamk also doing the same thing, going up with a Habesha. That was, I think I just noticed. And
He did.
Aizamk going up with the Moroccans. Okay, for the XP there. Interesting. All right. Okay, let's see what
House of
happens
Kingdom
from here.
coming in straight away, so going to be getting that university, dropping it down, as well as a trade builder that's going to be moving towards the north to pick up the Berbers. I do love this. The Berbers, one of the new native civilizations, minor native civilizations. Probably my favorite, along with the Yoruba. The Yoruba more towards the late game, the Berbers more towards the early game. There's just so much versatility with the Berbers. I really do like them a lot.
I love the Berbers too. I mean, it's not hard for people to like them. Players really love villages and economic things, so
Yes.
it's no surprise that you like the Berbers. But speaking of the Berbers and economic things, this is a much slower game. Look, Aizamk's got 2 trading posts. He's built, 3 trading posts in total because of the Berber one we mentioned in his base, or is going up now. And I went up with the Moroccans, and well, this is definitely more economic focused, and I really like the XP when playing as the Hausa here, because you can just get those shipments out nice and early. They come with that free cattle, and if you can get arrogant tree planting early as well, you get a goat as well. Which I'm not sure if that's something he's teched. Same, we can't actually see.
Yeah, it
which is a
doesn't look
shame.
like he's teched it up just yet. I think it's 250 influence. He's got 200 influence at the moment, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. But 4 vills now coming in. You mentioned earlier players loving to favor those more economic investments, and that is definitely the way with A's going for the 4 villages shipment. He's got some other nice shipments in here in Age 2. Also got is this Palace of Amina? It is indeed Palace of Amina, and cards like Rumpher's Riders. So these are definitely big favorites. We see these in a lot of the decks for the Hausa.
Yeah, Rumpher's Riders. Oh man, Lafittes are so fun. They're just big fat cavalry that don't die like that. Wait, that is what you want from a cavalry.
Yes.
So, yeah, no surprise to see that there. What's he gonna do with this initial influence though? I mean, he's not sending any cards that cost influence, or he's not trying to, by the looks of it. Amina's Palace, in fact, gives influence. So, the universal. Perhaps we should hover over one of his cards in his deck and see if there's a goat coming on it, because I just wonder if that's what he's trying to do. It says one Sanga, so not the goat as well. That would be shown there. But yeah, because he's playing so slow. Look, Knuschelbar coming in with these troops, starting to siege down this trading post. A few units being pulled off there to perhaps deal with that Explorer or Goat Note. They're coming back on. But what is Ace's response to this? Okay, some Javelin Riders finally coming in with some Fuller Archers as well. Pardon me, Fulani Archers. Can he save the trading post? I'm not sure he can, but at least he can try and poke at these units here.
Trading post managing to survive with 267 HP, so I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to save it, as you mentioned, but he's definitely pulled him away. Maybe just trying to get that last little, where is it? Where's that travois? I don't actually see the travois. There
Final
it is.
Pass. Well,
Yeah.
there's 2 different travois on this map. Okay, he does lose the trading post, but not before he gets a couple of passes of XP on it. So, I mean, that's good. Big Benny just came in for Ethiopian player, our bovine friend. Hover over the short rollover. Yeah, just hover over him for a moment, Drongo. No, the short rollover on the animal itself.
He's an animal.
Yeah. I've been waiting for someone to notice. No one has so far.
Well, one of the things to note is that he's got Big Benny, but his coin or livestock value at the moment is sitting at 60% for gold, and you never really want to be that low when you've got Big Benny out. You really want to be trying to maximize the amount that you're getting from Big Benny, and as a result, being on 62%, it doesn't really feel that good when you sell it. So we can see that even though Noosh right now is macroed towards that Fortress Age, he's sold probably a cow too many, and it means that he's sitting behind now. He'd love to be able to get 900 gold out of that, but just not going to be able to do it.
He's reluctant to click the button, but yeah, this is why Big Benny exists, because Hausa get all those cows as you just throughout the game, nice and passively, which is really helpful. But as Ethiopia, you often find yourselves in these positions where you have a maxed out livestock market, 100% value wooden coin. You're like, God, how do I spend this down? I don't have any fat cattle. Oh, why not have a fat cow in my deck? That's kind of useful. I mean, at the moment he seems pretty strong. That prize Red Bull, but Yeah, I mean, he's useful for that reason. But as you say, he doesn't want to click it just yet. But he better do it soon because he's got a villager just about to pop. Perhaps cancel the other one and then maybe age up.
Yeah, well, the other thing that he can do is look to do a bit of market trading as well. One of the great things about starting with the livestock market is that, well, you've got a market. As a Sweden player, I never really made markets until age 4, and it's strange to have a market in age 1. But yeah, definitely make use of it where possible. Fulani's
It's
now
almost
moving.
like a civ bonus as well. Like you can have an extra market as part of your civilization. By the way, it's a Red Bull because the border is red on the card. Anyway, let's talk about this fight that's happening on the card, not the animal
Yeah,
itself.
yeah. I know exactly what you meant. It just clicked then. Don't worry, I got it. I got it.
we thought you'd get it, yeah, but not. Okay. Anyway, this house is going to go down. So A is now coming out on the offensive after that sort of delayed start, more economic focus at the beginning there. Catch us up, Drongo. What's going on?
Yeah, so Knuschelbar going up now to age 3, going up with the Sudanese. Probably the right choice in this situation. The Devrish going to be able to provide a lot of assistance when it comes to bypassing these range resists that that both of the unit composition, or both of the units that Aizamk is making have got. But we see that he's got out some Devrish of his own right now, or Dervish of his own, and going to begin sieging down the war camp of Knuschelbar. You can see behind this, he doesn't really seem that interested in aging up to the 3rd age at this point. Just really going to stick it in the 2nd age. I'm curious to see if he's got a war camp out of his own just yet. It doesn't really look like it, so probably just going to be sticking with those units, or could even potentially be looking to hit age 3, I guess, if he focused a bit more on food. But now the fight begins to unfold. We see that Aze is managing to snare up the units of Knuschelbar. Knuschelbar having to fall back underneath his town center, but we can see the aura of the mountain monastery beginning to heal up the units despite being in combat right now. And A's looking in a pretty damn good spot. What do you think, Interjection?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. I mean, clearly Knuschelbar trying to wait for the age up. You get that free shadow tech on the Dervish. Or no, pardon me, they're Aizamk's units. Never mind. But yeah, well, some units pop out. Good pop there, and might actually be able to clean this up. I mean, I can't tell that well from the screen quality that I'm watching from Discord, but I would say that's a pretty convincing Knuschelbar lead. Look, he's managed to repel that. He's got himself up to the fortress age. Should we do a quick stock take on villagers as well?
Yeah, we've got
25 there, plus the Aboons, which are not counted in that total. I don't think they are anyway. Up against 32. So actually, the House of Player is further ahead, but Ethiopia here, nice, managed to push him back and has got himself up to the fortress age, which is definitely very good. So is going to be able to make the game happen. And when I say make the game happen, what I really mean is ship an Ethiopian big boy.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's big boy time. Yeah, I think the part of the reason why it's so hard to tell exactly what's going on is because not only do we have colors that are quite close together, but this white sand in particular makes it very difficult for any sort of contrasting colors to come through. So it's something I might have to look at for the next game. We'll see if we can switch up the colors, make them a little bit more different. But we've got a Sangha cattle that's lost his way out in the middle of the map. Aizamk donating over a big cow over to the Ethiopian cause. It looks like Big Benny's found a bull of his brethren, but a slightly skinnier one, unfortunately. So it's going to take this one back home, fatten him up.
Nice find. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the next update. No more random cattle all over the map. I'll say that much.
Ooh.
But I feel like one cattle is a small. Well, it's a small price. I don't know what I'm saying, actually. Basically, there's a large Ethiopian army coming, and I'm trying to find something useful to say about Aizamk, but losing a cattle certainly isn't that. Oromo Warriors following this up. This is Knuschelbar's big push. Remember, Hausa is further ahead on the economy. Pardon me. Yeah, no, he is ahead on the economy. So this is where Knuschelbar really needs to make something happen. Should we switch over to Aizamk's perspective and see if there is what kind of response he has to this mortar?
Yes.
Because that's often, the same way you have to, when you play Dutch or Germans, you think about how do I handle that 2 falconet shipment of my opponent. Up against Ethiopia, I think very much it's a similar situation. You need to think about some kind of effective response to the big cannon.
And it looks like he's sought a response or found a response, but it's not the standard response you would expect. It is the Griot.
Oh.
And not only is he training 3 Griots, he's actually sending the Maguzawa card, which is not only going to be increasing the damage of the Griots.
This is what makes them strong. This is what makes them useful. Oh my god, guys. if you've not seen what grits do, get ready, please. I mean, I feel like Griot should have at least a tiny bit of area effect, because they're not all that useful without this card. But once it comes in,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is absolutely astonishing how much value you can get. And I'm absolutely gobsmacked that Floco and the treaty community haven't decided that it's... I mean, a 50% debuff is nothing to scoff at. But, you know, when your opponent's mortar has 8 rate of fire, jacking that up to 16, well, I won't be shooting for a while, so you've got plenty of time to handle it there. And that's going to be his response. So far, lost his palace, rather, and that wall has gone down as well. And the Ethiopian mortar now looking to take out more buildings. Aizamk just waiting to get that response ready, but as a result of having had to wait, he has lost a few buildings of his own. But he doesn't want to take it too quickly. He wants to make sure it's the right time and take a good fight, and it's to him it appears to be worth losing a few buildings just to make sure you get the fight you want, rather than the one where you don't adequately deal with the mortar and then definitely lose the game. So good to see A's, and this is a classic A's, right? If you play against A's, fear the home city spawn point. That's the strongest mechanic A's has to offer. And here we go, Lafiti, pardon me, Raiders coming in, going to try and get that mortar. Nice, manages to get it out to the other side there. Lafitis, though, they may be able to just right-click onto it. Is the Griot stunning it? I'm not really, I can't, yes they are! Oh, sorry, I couldn't see because of the screen quality, but that mortar felt like it barely did anything. It didn't fire a single shot or something like that.
Oh my god, the Griots are just doing so much work. It's beautiful listening to the sounds. But I don't think it's going to be enough. We see that Knuschelbar is actually managing to overpower despite the Griots tooting their way away. But there seems to be a little bit of an army, and Aizamk calls the good game.
Oh, there's so much more stuff coming in. Yeah, there's the GG. Okay, so going down there. I guess it looked like it was going a lot better than it was on this screen share, but you know, admirable effort. That card, I think he needs to send it for the Griots to be useful, but the trouble is it's a Fortress Age card, right? So like, or at least he was in the Fortress Age, so you know that slows you down a lot. So Knuschelbar picking up game number 1 in this best of 7 series, I believe, for the African Grand Finals of this EGC TV tournament, weekend tournament. Very, very nice. Looking at now the villager population.
Yeah, we see the pull there from Aizamk. No real villager losses over the course of the game, other than a villager lost right after A's hit the Fortress Age, and the military unit population doesn't actually show the military unit counts of the natives. It looks a little bit more even when we do it that way, but yeah, you can just see the difference when it comes to that last fight. Wasn't really able to take out any of those Gaskenyas. There was just a large mass towards the end. Let's have a look how many Gaskenya there actually were. There were still 13 Gaskenya at the end, as well as 13 Desert Warriors, so still quite a significant infantry force. But a good game, though. A quick game. A lot of these African games seem to be very cutthroat. Very quick ones, just sort of in and out. I'm just going to double check the colors in the next game, and then I'm going to switch it up if need be.
Right.
Okay, so once again, we've got green and blue. So I'm going to switch out. We'll make the blue player. We'll turn them into a pink. How do you feel about that?
You could put friend foe colors on, and then it'll make them red and blue.
Oh, I'm very adverse to friend and foe colors. It is.
All right.
It is something I am not the best with. Let me quickly...
That's interesting, because I can't play without it in a team game.
Really?
Well, in like a 3v3 or a 4v4, which seems to be what I play the most of these days now. It's kind of hard to keep track of all my allies unless they're unless they're yellow.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. I guess once you've sort of once you've dug that hole, it's very hard to get out of it. So hopefully we should be able to fix up the colors now. Just let me... all right, there we go. Now it's looking a little bit clearer. So I hope you're ready to introduce us for the next game, Interjection. Take it away.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2 in a best of 7 series between Knuschelbar and Aizamk for the grand finals of the African Championship hosted by EGC TV. This is a $1,500 tournament, and these two players duking it out for some decent prize money, but also I think the honor of being the African champion with these new civs, showing us, this is where Aizamk, we can really expect him to do well. And I think this is where Aizamk would really want to do well. He's so well known for his unusual and innovative strategies. He likes to play in an unusual way. I think that's just what he enjoys doing. And as a result, he's just very good at playing this game in many different ways. So when a new civ comes out, I think he would really want to be looking at Aizamk and seeing what he can get up to, and seeing what he can get up to using that chaos ability there to pick himself up a small coin trickle. I think just equivalent to roughly just under a villager in terms of production, and of course it doesn't benefit from upgrades like a villager would either. So a nice treasure, and worth pointing out that it's symmetrical. Both players will have that in their base on this map here. But looking around the map, comes across the Simba Pumba treasure, but actually not going to get that right away. Going to opt for something in base, and not using Chaos just yet, but is going to sort of kite them, which the African Explorer sort of can do, and going to pick himself up that resources. But his opponent, spawning on the right-hand side of the map in the color green, we do have Knuschelbar playing as the Hauser. So if you saw game one, it was the same matchup, but now it's flipped. The players playing the civilization they weren't playing in the previous, and that is the format. Both players have to play the African civilizations in game 1 and 2, and then it'll be free picks later on. Although I think next match actually one player plays Africa and the other is a free pick. But at the moment, these African mirrors, or not really mirrors since they're both playing different African civs, but also Knuschelbar picking up treasures of his own, picking up a nice wood treasure in the top of the map, and now his first hut going down as well, and 3 villagers plus 1 Sanga cattle coming in. So, shall we take a look at the treasures so far, Drongo? What have they managed to get? Does page up work? I'm not sure if...
page up does indeed work.
Except now it's spammed with a lot of notifications that makes it very difficult to figure out exactly what has been sent. But I often like to look at age 1 and see, sort of inverted commas, who's winning. It's hard to tell unless you can quickly analyze.
It looks like Noosh has picked up a 40 food treasure, as well as a 25 wood treasure and an 85 XP treasure. So definitely some nice treasures going over to him. A's obviously starting us off with that gold trickle treasure. A little bit difficult to manage or to sort of, gauge exactly how good that is when you compare it to things like 85 food. And also, in addition to that, picking up the 85 food treasure. We've got Knuschelbar at the moment dropping down a trading post. We can see that Ace has already taken one himself. So both players opting for that safe in-base trading post. It's rare to see Ethiopia go for a trading post this early, but we do see that the livestock market, there's only 1 cattle that remains. So he's done a little bit of eating of the cows or selling of the cows. He's going to be training up his own cow right now as well, and going up with the Sudanese.
Yeah, did he sell a cow to make more cows, or is that just the coin trickle and the other treasures that he found for that? I think it's just 1 cow. Yeah, it's just 1 cow.
I would suspect he's sold a cow just because the livestock value is the same as the wood. So most likely he's sold a cow, bought food.
For a house and hunting dogs, yeah.
Yeah.
And a trading post.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. He's got the Abun in now, going to be doing some healing. And I'm curious if we see A's go for that same build order that he went in the last game, where it was a bit of a counter build order. So we've got Knuschelbar going up with the Hauser here, a very late age up as well. I'm not sure if he's going to be aging up even before 4 minutes, which, as an African civilization, it's something that you definitely are able to do. Whenever I see my opponent, if I'm playing an African civilization and my opponent's on it as well, I spot them, aging up at 4 minutes 20, 4 minutes 30. I'm like, this is easy. I'm going to have such a tempo advantage from aging up so early. And I'm fearful for Knuschelbar in this game that A's might be just a little bit ahead. But
yeah, getting up faster, that's for sure. I mean, the 10-10, traditionally in Age of Empires 3, 10-10s have always been either really bad or really problematic. So having a civ that can quite easily get up to age 2 with 10 villages just off the cattle is you might think difficult, but the idea is really that to do that, yes, you can do that, but you sort of annihilate your economy, because those cows obviously generate influence and they fatten up, and if you just eat them early on, you lose so much economic potential that I think it should exist, but I think it shouldn't be meta or something that's super powerful, and at the moment, perhaps that is not the case. But I think that's partly because you just start with too many livestock animals, and because of that the tempo is so quick, and you've got such a good follow up on it behind a 10-10. But just wanted to interject that there whilst we was on topic. But by the looks of it here, Knuschelbar has located that wagon, and yes, Ace is up quickly, but was able to snare it and delay that its construction there. And interestingly, that native embassy, it's building not super fast, but a little bit fast. And the 10-10 could be delayed by making that native embassy build less quickly, I think, as well, is interesting to point out. But what Ace has done is aged up with 400 influence and is going to use that forward embassy to train units. Who did he age up with, though? I'm going to expect that it was the Sudanese.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure it was the Sudanese. One of the things that Ace has been doing, which is very, very curious, so aging up really quickly, sending in 700 wood as his first shipment, and then not spending that influence on native units, but actually spending it on the Cannoneers. That way he can get around not sending through Jesuit influence. So Jesuit influence, obviously in the most recent patch, was changed from an Age 1 card to an Age 2 card. Now players are able to sort of get around that by aging up with a native alliance to the second age, but then still be able to send through the band of Cannoneer mercenaries. So a really smart use of the influence. We can see just how many units Ace has got out. It's 530 at the moment, and if there was a timing attack that was going to be potentially happening, he's going to be able to defend it pretty darn well right now, because he's going to have the mercenaries that are going to be out probably pretty close to about 545, maybe 550, and he's got 9 Gasquenya, which are going to be able to hold down. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff right here.
Yeah, and they synergize so well with the Cannoneers. Fun fact: those Cannoneers are actually cheaper than they used to be earlier on in development, which is why the shipment delivers more of them than it should, since the cost is reduced, but the shipment wasn't adjusted accordingly. So yeah, that's why those feel powerful, I think. It's also just a lot of units. But look at this, absolutely fantastic. You train the Gasenya, which is this really satisfying, agile musket style unit, and you get these powerful ranged infantry as well, just to complement it. And now just going in and going to be able to wreak havoc, and that is what you get to do with that speed and getting that big powerful shipment in so soon with that 400 influence. Here we go.
Looking forward to it. We'll take a look at Knuschelbar. We'll see exactly what he's up to on his side of the world. So he's so far got 10 Javelin Riders out, sending in the 6 Raiders from the home city. Going to be trading double batches of Fulani here, so his economy is looking in a great spot right now. 23 villages in total. He has sent 4 villages from the home city, as well as that 700 wood, so he's going to be looking pretty darn decent right now. Ace sending his Explorer in ahead of the army just to scout out what his opponent is up to, and it looks like he's going to be able to begin applying pressure to this House of Base. The units begin to posture around the war camp and start sieging it. Definitely it feels like Noosh is somewhat in a bit of a difficult spot right now. Whilst he does have a nice military, it's going to be very difficult for him to engage just simply because of how well this composition works together. The Abus are going to be, or rather the Cannoneers, are going to be able to really protect the Gasquenya and vice versa. And now we see just how effective he is able to defend right here with these engagements. Double range units doing so well, but the Fulani's getting off a lot of good shots. Looks like both a Cannoneer and a couple of Gasquenya are going to be going down. Volleys going back off onto the cavalry, and slowly he's able to repel this. So despite having I'd say his unit composition is definitely a nicer composition. It's a tri-unit composition, but his units definitely aren't as strong as the Gasquenya and the Cannoneers. But look, Ace has come in. He's taken out a single war camp and he's walked away. He said that's sufficient for me. I'm happy with that, and now I'll get on with the rest of my day. But now we begin to see the Dervishes beginning to build. Rather, the Dervishes beginning to build. And more Zebu cattle being trained by Aizamk back at the hometown.
Yeah, following up with some cows there. And that's something that feels quite good. At least I think so with Ethiopia. It's the sense that you have your Abuns gathering coin, and you might not necessarily sort of need all of that coin sometimes. But then you can just spend it on more Abuns, or in this case, more cows. And the whole thing just sort of works out quite nicely there. It's interesting, though, because he went up with this super fast age up and came in with all these units. I don't feel like he got too much damage done. At least houses still seems like they're in a good spot here. And now, perhaps because of that following up with economy, here comes some raiders. Abuns do have a lot of hit points, though, so you might not necessarily be able to take one of them out, but is at least diverting Aze's attention. Some Gasenya there instead of reinforcing, sort of staying at home. But I think Aze just had a batch ready popping out, and thankfully they were just ready popping out and were able to sort of repel these. But one villager, can he get it down?
Oh my god! I think the Aben stopped
afflicted.
healing, unfortunately, but a little bit of a fight unfolding. A lot of Fulanis in the base of Knuschelbar right now. 22 in total. Looks like he's doing his best to try and get effective trades. He's going to need to continue kiting back. These units are strong. They do counter the Gascania, but only if they kite. If they don't kite, the Gascania are going to get up nice and close, reduce that rate of fire, because the Gascania, as it does get closer to the enemy units, its rate of fire is going to drop down lower. We see there on the UI, it is reflected. So the Gascania moving up now. As soon as they fire off their spears at point-blank range, you're going to see just how low they go. Now to a 2.06 rate of fire, so really doing well. Knuschelbar caught between not only a rock and a hard place, but a tree and a black place. So very difficult spot for him. Javelin Riders on the back line. He needs to have them up at the front, though, tanking. These guys have got 210 HP. They're not going to be doing a lot of DPS, but it does look like Nush is actually cleaning this up pretty effectively. How are you feeling about this, Inter?
Yeah, he's managed to tidy that up. You know, this big push coming in, but Nush has dealt with it really, really well. That sort of early, fast age up of Aizamk, and now, you know, I dare say he looks like he's in a well, not a commanding lead, but certainly a lead. This is, you know, looking comfortable. He's got lots of units. He's dealt with the big threat, but we do know Aizamk has a decent follow-up who's training cows and such. That's what I think.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. If we do a quick stock take, we can see 27 villagers at the moment for Knuschelbar. He's got 3 livestock at the moment on the livestock market. His rates are relatively good, 77% for gold, so not too bad at all there. We're sending at the moment of the Phodio Tactics, which is the range upgrade for the Fulani Archers. So we'll go do a quick stock take over at Aizamk's base. He's on 25 villagers. Out of that, he's also got 4 Abans, so technically around 29 villagers. He's also got 2 cattle on the market at the moment, and his rates are very, very nice, hitting 100%. He does have Big Benny in the deck. He hasn't sent it yet, so this is going to be meaning that he's going to be able to pick up a 900 resource shipment, so very, very nice. A lot of people will say 900 resources on a single shipment in H2, that's absolutely crazy. And while on the surface it might seem crazy, it's important to remember that there's an opportunity cost that's associated with that, and that at the end of the day, you're also going to be reducing your own livestock value as a result of doing that. You could have just simply sold a Zebu cattle, but instead you sold Big Benny. So it means every subsequent sell that you make, it's going to be less effective as well.
Yeah, although 900 perhaps is too much. I'm not sure. I mean, it's the fact that it can be sent twice, and really the shipment exists just to help Ethiopia make use of the livestock market sometimes when it can feel a bit awkward if you don't train the cattle like we saw earlier. You sort of feel forced to train the cattle to make use of it, but Big Benny sort of tidies that over. I wonder if 900 is too much since it can be sent twice, but I mean, it feels good to use. Like, it's satisfying, which I think is important. So there is that, and yeah, it's definitely in a stack. It's being made use of. So where are we at in this game? It looks like Hausa. Here we have Knuschelbar now sort of going up to the next age. Who's he aging with is the question.
So he's going to be going up with Songhai, so providing him the little gold crates, as well as having that ability to call from the home city or towers, the Songhai raid, which is very powerful because it costs influence. But it's important to note that just how good his economy is at the moment. So those 28 villages, as well as his composition. He's got a great composition here. Fulani Archer, Javelin Rider. He's survived the early game, which, to be honest, is the hard part. The only next issue that he's going to have is the big boy. When it does eventually come in, the Sebastopol mortar is going to create havoc for him. So he needs to make sure that he's got a way that he can deal with that. If we take a look at his deck, we don't see that he's got that all-important Griot card, the same card that Aze was using in the last game, the same card that Fitzbro loves to use. He's a big fan of that Griot card, but who knows? Maybe he trains perhaps just one Griot to deal with that, or perhaps he just overwhelms his opponent with the Santa Horseman that he's got in the deck here as well.
Yeah, they're also very, very powerful. I think it's 1,000 influence, so that's not coming just yet. It's going to open with 9 Fulani Archers and perhaps trickle up the influence he needs to get something like that. Okay, so he hits up to Fortress Age before A's. 9 Fulani coming out, and we'll see what he intends to do. I'd like to see him scouting a bit so he could sort of see perhaps what A's is up to. I mean, we know that. Shall we switch on over and see? So A's also going up to the Fortress Age there. So I think you know, Knuschelbar will be able to tell partially from the lack of units streaming into his base or the lack of big army that's not positioning itself around on the map that something's going on, that Aizamk is aging up, and indeed that is what we're seeing. So Nush could expect it, and I think because A's could be aging up, which he is, that it's now time for Knuschelbar to figure out how do I deal with that big mortar.
Yeah,
And
that's
what do you
definitely
think
it.
his answer is?
It really becomes, yeah, it's a difficult question. I'm curious if we're actually going to even see A's go for it. We do actually see he's got 600 influence in the bank right now, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him send in the Dervish and try and go that route. I guess when it comes to the mortar, it's a little bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because obviously you do want to send it, you do want to use it, but at the same time, once you do, you really feel like you don't have much left. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see A's try and delay that as much as possible, and see if he can move towards more Devrish, which is actually training up right now using all of his influence. So I don't even think we're going to be seeing that. Maybe we do, but I suspect it's probably going to be a combination of just overwhelming it with supreme numbers, maybe a couple of Lafidi as well. We do have the 5 Lafidi Knights coming in for Knuschelbar. I think that's probably going to be the best way for him to deal with it. One thing to note, though, these Lafidi aren't going to be upgraded. He's going to need to get an upgrade, but wow, look how many Lafidi Knights he's got sitting back here right now. He's got, that's 9 Lafidis, and he's got the 5 that are coming in from the home city, so a huge mass of Lafidis he's going to have here.
They have a small shadow, actually. I think it's 15% shadow tech on them. The final 10% comes from the upgrade, just how it is. But as a result, yeah, they do have some extra potential to buff them up there. And Lafidi, yeah, absolutely. I mean, cavalry in general are going to deal well with a mortar. Mortars aren't cannons in general aren't very good against cavalry, and they're also very good at countering cavalry, or cavalry are good at countering mortars, I should say. This is a big army. This is a lot of units.
This is a huge army, isn't it? So in total, we've got 20 Javelin Riders. We've got, how many Fulani? We've got 26 Fulani. The real kicker is the 14 Lafidi. You don't want to underestimate these guys. They're just absolutely insane. Now the elite upgrade coming in as well. It's going to be the first palace that Knuschelbar spots. The second one is on the north side. This one a little bit more defensively placed. Aizamk looking to train up some disciplined Mahouts right now. Those Mahouts going to be popping out towards the north from the palace. So that's going to be 2 Mahouts trying to deal with this army. And one of the curious things to note is we don't have the big boy coming in just yet.
He's not shipped it. Oh, it turns out that perhaps it's not always best to open with it or best to use it. I mean, it certainly can be the centerpiece of your strategy, but in this game, perhaps not the case. Knuschelbar, big army here on this palace. He's going to be able to take it out. He's got a good score lead there. And Ace is, well, he's going to have to, it's on him to figure out what to do here. And I'm not sure that's the answer, although Mahouts are deceptively, I guess they are very expensive, so perhaps that makes his army a bit bigger.
Yeah, if we take a look at just how much they cost, they're 560 influence each. Now, that can obviously be reduced down. I think there's an Indian technology that you can research at the Mountain Monastery, which reduces the cost by, I want to say 15%. Do you know if I'm right? Interjection?
Sorry, I zoned out for a moment. What tech?
You're right. The technology that reduces the cost of the Indian elephants at the Mountain Monastery. I think it's 15%.
Yeah, I think it's 15%.
In addition to that, there's also a technology that reduces the cost even further. But one of the things to note, I've just realized now, even though we watch Knuschelbar destroying the base of Aizamk, is that he's got a Romo Migration in here. That's a 9 villager card at the moment. That's pretty darn decent. I can't believe that he's lost 8 villagers throughout this game. That just seems a little bit ridiculous. But now Aizamk engaging from the south of the map. The elephants doing their best to try and engage, but one of them just deciding, I don't even want to take part in this. He's going to walk himself away, the disciplined Mahout. The second one going to go down. This big carrot preventing us from seeing what's happening over here to the right of the battle. But down towards the south of the carrot, the elite Gascania are just firing off on those Lafidis. If we take a look from Knuschelbar's perspective, there's still 11 Lafidis that are alive at this point. A huge amount of Fulani sitting at the back as well. Another Mahout popping out from the north. Going to begin trying to hit down some of those Fulanis, and Aizamk actually calling the good game, saying that he's not going to be able to hold here, and that takes us to 2-0 for Knuschelbar.
Yeah, nicely done there. Elephants turned out that they are also cavalry, and they are weak to javelin riders like every other cavalry.
Yeah, it's curious that he went up with the Indians. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of the Indians. I find their units quite expensive.
The elephants, yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Influence as a resource is much more favorable to food costs than it is to others. So, one influence, as you've probably noticed, is worth 1 wood and 1 coin. Hence, falconets are worth 500 resources, 500 influence rather. But stuff that costs food, the game considers one influence to be worth 1.3 food at the moment. So those elephants are actually a fair bit cheaper. And I think early on, well, from the balance testing we did, those elephants, as Ethiopia, also have aboons, and you can sort of heal them up. And I remember watching a tournament a very long time ago where Howd About That, aka Ryan Mankel, made lots of elephants and surgeons and was healing them up, and it was all rather very impressive. So being able to do it whilst they're in combat is another thing. So if you can't, I mean, yes, they're expensive, but if you can keep them alive, they represent a huge amount of value because you can just. I think one surgeon healing up an elephant is like a factory's worth of value or something like that. And
Wow.
Evans can do it whilst they're fighting. I mean, make of that what you will, because when I do say that, okay, it all sounds very impressive
Mm.
theoretically, but 10 health per second being healed is not quite the same as like, a veteran hussar doing 34 damage every 3 seconds, 1.5 seconds rather. So, I mean, when you compare the two, the damage output of all units is so much higher than the healing output of an Aboon, but something to think about.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. I feel like if I had the micro ability, I would love to have the 5 Aboons, the 5 Mahouts on the front line, and just pulling them back as they dropped down to say 10% HP, that sort of thing. But it's I mean, when the battle's unfolding, there's just so much going on. It's very
Yeah.
difficult to consider. All right, let's jump into
All
game
right.
number 3. All right, I'm just going to
All
pause
right.
the game quickly and switch up my camera acceleration. All right, interjection, take us away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 3 in a best-of-7 series between Aizamk and Knuschelbar. This is the grand finals of the African Championship 2021, hosted by Elite Gaming Community Television, aka AGC TV. I hope that was the correct full pronunciation of the. I don't think it was, but the point is,
it was close
this
enough.
is
It was close enough.
yeah, the point is this is a $1,500 tournament, and we have 2 players mostly playing Africa in the grand finals, albeit because of the tournament rules. This game, however, not an African civilization, at least for Aizamk. Instead, playing as the Ottomans, and I noticed he did this in his prior game as well, in the previous series, I should say rather. Because you saw game 1 and 2, they were African mirrors, albeit Hausa, Ethiopia, and then flipped. And now Aizamk gets to pick a civ of his choosing, and Aizamk and Knuschelbar staying on the Hausa. So we get to watch Africa versus some existing civilizations, just to compare and contrast and just see a bit of variety there. So Aizamk playing as the Ottoman, going to be opening with that trading post in the bottom of the map there, and indeed the slightly buffed mosque as well. So going to have lots of experience coming in, and that's always very useful for the Ottomans.
Yeah, we take a look at
However,
his deck, and he's actually got the native treaties card in there. So I'm expecting we're probably going to be seeing some more natives out of him, like we did in the last series that he played. He does have the Sudanese that he's got access to, as well as the Berbers. So I'm looking forward to seeing this Ottoman native strategy.
his opponent, Knuschelbar, playing as the Hausa in the color green on the north of the map. Here he is, chopping a lot of wood there. Interesting. So not going to be gathering straight away on those hunts. Not going to be selling an animal for the extra wood by the looks of it. Chopping. House sell. There it is. So going to get a house. So gathered exactly 100 wood by the looks of it, and is going to sell one at one cow for 200 wood as well, or just a bit over rather, and get his house. And by the looks of it, heading for a trading post with that explorer. It appears to be going in that direction, although he doesn't have the wood for it, so I highly doubt. Oh no, he has got the. There it is.
There we go. Yeah, he did a bit of a sell. One of the curious things to note is that when you chop for this house in Age 1, it was something that I was sort of testing on day 1 when I was playing the African civilizations, and it just felt really, really bad. And I expect as a result we're going to see Knuschelbar aging up quite late, just simply because of that fact. So I'm not sure whether that's going to be affecting him too much. He hasn't really orientated himself towards these faster rushing strategies, focused more on the economy, focused more on the composition. So it's good to see that it's more traditional play. Definitely not the strongest, most overpowered stuff that you've seen in the game, but by the same token, it's still that meticulous play that we do know Knuschelbar for. So yeah, great to see him on it. So we'll take a look at his deck. We'll see what he's got so far, sending in the 3 villagers as the first shipment. Anything crazy in here standing out to you, Interjection?
What are those industrial age cards there? We've got the Gatling camels and the Yoruba allies. Okay. Oh boy, I think I know where the Yoruba allies are for, if we can get that far. And it is the Yoruba twins. Now, this card just, you shouldn't have access to this card, especially.
It's a very fun card. I like this card a lot. I think that it should definitely stay in the game and that no one should be looking at this card at all. No, the Yoruba allies are one of those things where if you can get to age 4 and your opponent pushes in, it can all come together. 16 Yoruba allies pop out of the town center, and then you've got the technology that clones them as well. And if you time it perfectly, you can get 32 allies popping out of the town center at the exact same time. And well, that's just a dead army for your opponent. So unfortunately, it's probably a bit of a balance issue. But
Yes.
I'm sure we will
Also a lot of value.
say again. Sorry.
Regardless of whether it's also just a lot of value, regardless of whether you manage to pop it on top of their army, like spawning 6 units on top of them. Like, I mean, the card should exist, but it shouldn't be that many, and possibly shouldn't even be in their age either. But it's in his deck, and it's very powerful, and we shall have to keep an eye on it should the game go that long. But players now just reaching up to the second age here. I believe A is going to be going up with the Quartermaster and is building a second trading post during transition and is now moving on over to the Sudanese. Perhaps going to get that as well. You alluded that he would, and we did see him do this in a previous match. And some good units in there.
Yeah, some very strong units. So having access to the Dervish, or the Dervish rather. Dervish, one of those few units that that sort of goes against the conventional unit style. It's got that ranged attack that actually does melee damage. So there's only a few units that actually do that in the game. To be honest, I can't actually think of any other than this one, but I'm sure there is some. I know that.
I think the Iroquois Tomahawk did do it on, well, possibly on the launch of War Chiefs. I'm not sure. The native warrior version of the the Haudenosaunee Tomahawk does inflict melee damage.
Right.
It does seem a bit strong though, and like it kind of flips. Like all these units have these various resistances for a reason. And just dealing the wrong kind of damage is kind of a big deal, particularly against, say, artillery, where the Dervish can just smash them down super fast. They should probably have some kind of 0.5 negative multiplier against artillery, the same way Abbas guns do, because both those units negate the siege. But yeah, ultimately, the Dervish is just sort of a Urumi. In fact, although a Urumi with range is basically what it is. It, has a fairly high rate of fire, but gets much faster as you get closer, and then when you get into hand combat, it's super quick. It's one rate of fire, which is what makes that unit strong, right?
And yeah, it's definitely one of the strongest units in the game. I would say definitely packs a huge punch. So great to see that that Ace is going for that strategy here. He's down at the moment 2-0, so hopefully going to be looking towards this strategy to get him back into the game. We take a look over at Knuschelbar, see what Knusch is up to.
Did you just see what Ottoman's doing?
Oh, the native treaties card coming in. So yeah, going to be combining the Berbers. I'm curious what they actually cost. So we've got 180 food for the Berber Nomad and 120 and 60. So pretty close to a Hussar.
You probably get 3 Berber Nomads and like 5. I don't know for sure. We'll see what he gets in a moment. But if these units are stronger than regular natives, which, well, they seem to be, then native treaties is going to be a super powerful card because it's always been quite good. I guess the drawback being you have to spend 400 wood on native settlements. But if you actually have that, it's very, very strong. Okay, so what's that? 4 Dervish?
Yeah,
and
4 Dervish, 3 camels. So not too bad at all.
Yeah.
7 unit shipment, and these are good units as well. So definitely nothing to sniff at. And now A's beginning to push across the map. 6 minutes 30. We'll take a look at his military, see how well he's doing. He's got 17 units, including the Explorer here. Another 7 units pushing up the rear. So a pretty formidable amount of units here. But pushing into the Hausa base. And now the action is due to begin.
Yeah, that is the question. So, few raiders. What's that? Fulani archers popping in. Already had some as well, and a couple of, pardon me, javelin riders as well. I think the Fulani archers definitely the most meaningful unit here, particularly against the Janissaries and the Berber camel riders, which are actually tagged as light cavalry, so they will be countered by archers and skirmishers. But it doesn't look like there's that many units, and there's a lot of stuff here. You know, A's timed this really nicely with natives coming in, as well as the native treaties card. He's got all the stuff here. Although on the bottom, sort of near the granary, there's this decent number of Hausa units. He's just managed to clean up there. How are you feeling about the fight with the better visual quality?
Yeah, it definitely looks like Knusch is going to be able to hold this one. We do see more Fulani archers coming out of the war camp. He seems to be cleaning it up pretty well, and my suspicion is that as long as Hausa can hold on within that first 7-minute push that is going to come through, that I suspect probably going to be able to secure the game now, just because of the better unit composition, the stronger economy, and of course those S-tier Sangha cattle. They're just too strong, too good, too fast, too pretty. Can't possibly be beaten. But sending in 6 raiders now. Going to be just sending in a few reinforcements from the home city. We take a look at his deck. We do see he's got access to a lot of unit shipments in here. The 7 Fulani, the 6 raiders. He's also got the 5 Lafidi Knights, in addition to the 10 Desert Warriors and the 12 Dervish that he can be sending in. So plenty of stuff there in the event that he needs something in a pinch. He's got 25 villagers at the moment compared to Aizamk, who's sitting down on 19. One of the things to note is that if he ever gets into the position where he needs to, he can always be training those Berber nomads. They're a little bit expensive, but they do gather significantly faster than a normal villager. Further, it looks like he is sending in 5 settlers from the home city, so going to be pretty much on par with Knuschelbar when he's got that shipment in. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely one of those things. I guess the question is, what is the win condition for Aizamk? Because for Knuschelbar, it's very easy. It's survive the game, build up a mass of Fulani archers, build up a mass of javelin riders, and then, you know, switch into Lafidi Knights, and that's the win condition. Whereas when it comes to A's, I feel like I don't really see anything for him other than maybe drop down 4 town centers and hope your opponent doesn't attack you for 10 minutes. Like, that's pretty much the best that I can hope. But looks like the Berber Camels now going to be connecting with the Explorer with a couple of the Hussars. The Berber Camels running with their big... What are those? They're not knives. They're like daggers? Is that what it is? What are those swords that they use?
Yeah, they look like sabers. Yeah.
Sabers. Yes. No light, though, but... Yes, chasing away the enemy cavalry. Going to be in a pretty good spot here, to be honest. I think he might have caught...
There's a lot of Fulani archers there, and Fulani archers have decent melee damage as well, and that is what counters these units. Not melee damage, the Fulani archers. Although, actually, I guess they are 180 food each. They do have a decent amount of hit points. I don't know. I mean, those cav are going down faster than Hussars would be. Like, it's not terrible. I mean, it's not good either.
He's doing pretty well at this point. Look, I guess I was looking for a win condition for A's, and he seems to have found it. He's definitely looking like he might have Knuschelbar on the ropes here. Score pulling ahead for A's. He's got those 4 trading posts, so that's definitely going to be helping him out a fair bit. We see a double batch now of Javelin Riders coming out, so he's a total of 10 out at the moment. He's got to be extra careful, though, just because of these Berber Camels. So these Berber Camels, for anybody unfamiliar, the natives, they do counter cavalry, and that is all cavalry. Every single cavalry unit, so that means your dragoons, that means your hussars, absolutely everything. So a difficult spot now for Knuschelbar as he tries to find a way to get himself back into this game. He's got villagers going down. Hussars are hitting down these villagers. He's down to 22 villagers at the moment. He loses another villager going down to 21. Compare that to his opponent who's sitting on 27, and Ace definitely looks like he's found a way back into this game.
Wow, it is all cavalry. I'm looking at it now in the Proto Y. Gee whiz.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yes. Yes. When I saw that, I was like, wow, these are really good. So I understand the reason behind it is because historically and presently, camels scare horses. Horses don't like camels. And so if you take a camel into battle against a horse, the horse is going to freak the hell out because there's a camel nearby, and so that's why there's the counter for the Berber camel riders to counter the cavalry. So yeah, they've got that huge bonus against cavalry. They do have a negative multiplier against villagers though. So even though they're quick and they're just not that effective against villagers, or not that super duper effective against villagers.
Yeah, I guess the unit is comparable. I mean, to a Rodellero in a sense. It's just a fast-moving melee unit. I mean, it's a bit faster than a Rod, but it's countered by kind of the same things. You know, your skirmishers, archers, but actually it's not as countered as hard, because think about it. Archers and skirmishers tend to do ×2 to heavy infantry, but they tend to do ×1.5 against light cavalry. And I say that because it's actually ×2, but they do 0.75 to all cavalry, which totals out at 1.5. So they're kind of just like rods that are less killed. They have more hit points. They're faster. They've range resist. Wow. Yeah.
They're very, very good units. I will say. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
But
thankfully they're native units, and you can't have that many of them. You can't mass them super much. But yeah, look at this fight here. You know, he's got his camel riders exactly where they need to be. He's trying to reposition away, trying to snipe them off with his sort of ranged stuff. There's a few. What was that, dervish in the back?
Big Desert Warrior pop here from the Watchtower. So 10 Desert Warriors now coming out on top of the Dervish. Going to be trying to clean this up as effectively as they can, but keep in mind they are heavy infantry. They do have that tag, so it means the Dervish are going to be countering them pretty effectively. More villagers going down. A total of 20 idle villagers right now for Knuschelbar. No reinforcing units are going to be able to provide him any assistance here, and Aizamk looks like he's going to be able to clean this one up very healthily. I suspect that this is going to be a good game right here, and GG gets called.
There it is. All right, in 2-1, 2-1.
Who would have thought that the Ottomans, out of all civilizations, could beat the Hausa?
I mean, Aiz has clearly done his homework, right? Like, is it that you don't need to make the vills? You just focus on each two, just keep making the things. He's he's thought through the maps really well, native treaties. But yeah, interesting to see how things play out. I know a lot of not necessarily pro players, but a lot of players seem to think Ottomans could use a buff. Well, maybe they're good against Africans. Maybe that's it. Maybe they're okay.
Yeah. It's one of those curious things, you know. I remember when I was talking to, I think it was to you and to Maito about the United States, and I was asking about, you know, the balance and how you guys have gone about balancing it, and you said that you'd been testing it against Sweden, and I thought, oh no, that's not good. Sweden's overpowered. If they've been testing against Sweden, then the United States is going to be busted as great. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. But fortunately, when the United States came out, they were very weak, and we worked out that that was probably one of the worst matchups to ever exist for Sweden. It was the United States matchup. It was just impossible to deal with, and so it all made sense why they had sort of balanced that out. But it's very curious that, you know, Aizamk is able to pull out that same sort of magic with the Ottomans against the Hausa and against the Ethiopians. So who knows? Maybe this is their Achilles heel in the same way that the Swedish Achilles heel was the United States. Resources just so close on that one. All right, let's jump into game number 4. So the score currently 2-1, Knuschelbar winning, but the tempo definitely going over to Aizamk. That's game number 3. Let's get into game number 4. I hope you guys are ready. Harrison in the chat saying French would be so much better, though, you would expect. Well, Harrison, why aren't you in this tournament then? Why aren't you beating Knuschelbar? Shots fired. Shots fired. No, it would make sense, though. France, obviously, very good civilization. All right.
All right.
You ready to roll?
I'm ready. Yeah, no, I'm back now. Let's do this.
Let's do it. All right. 3, 2, 1.
All right.
Take us away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 4 in a best-of-7 series between Knuschelbar and Aizamk for the grand finals of the African Championship hosted by EGC-TV. This is a $1,500 tournament, and it's the grand finals. There's a decent amount of cash on the line here. Let's see how these players handle these new African civs. Although in this matchup, Knuschelbar now playing as the Dutch. You will have seen game 1 and 2, where the players played African civs, although different African civs. So sort of playing those African, we'll call them mirror matchups. And then now in game 3 and 4, it's Africa versus a civ that is not African, and that's what we're seeing now. We just saw Aizamk take a win off the Hausa, playing as the Ottomans. And now the question is, can Knuschelbar return return the favor, so to speak, playing as the Dutch here. Will he be able to take a game off Aizamk? Spawning in the south of the map in the color pink, hot pink, Aizamk. I think actually you made him hot pink. This
I
wasn't
did.
his preference.
No, no.
It's definitely a great color. We can see this much more clearly. So well done. I really like the contrast on the background here. Tassili is this. It's known for its rock geological formations and otherworldly geology. Like the sands are just bright red. It looks like something out of Mars. And you can see here the lighting mostly doing the heavy lifting here on this map. But one of my favorite African maps just because it looks like an entirely different setting. And I think hot pink just stands out so well on it. So I'm pleased you chose that color for Aizamk. What is Aizamk up to, though? That is the question. Not constructing a house. That is what he's not up to. And that must mean he's looking to get up either very, very quickly or is waiting for that market to tick up.
Yeah.
Which I think we're about to see. Picking himself up to 25 wood in base there. That livestock market now getting up to 200 resources. And let's see what he does with them.
Let's see. He's heading towards the trading post. I've got a sneaky suspicion that he's going to be dropping down a trading post, and there it is. So doing a little bit of a market trade. I would like to thank the 31 raiders from Royal Clan AOE who have just joined. Welcome, guys. We are currently in the 4th game of the grand final in the African Championship. Knuschelbar's up to Aizamk on 1 at the moment, and this is game number 4. Aizamk at the moment going to be sending in the 4 semi-fattened cattle from the home city. So we take a look at his deck. Wait, his deck is called Sorry, it's 2-1. Is this him like pulling out a lame strategy? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah,
yeah. There you go. He thought he could. It's because it's Aizamk. He's just this guy that wants to put on a show. If I know Aizamk, you watch his streams, you watch his YouTube videos, or the ones that are on the Age of Streaming community channel at least. All he does is a performative. He just wants people to watch his funny ideas. But now that he's realized he's behind, he's like, you know what? Actually, I'm just gonna play the strong shit, and that's what he's doing. And I love it. Right? These cows. They don't take up population. It means you can 10-10 or without having to like well, actually, getting the villagers might be the better idea because then you could overpop. But in this case, he feels like the cows are the right thing to do. I just want to point out, I said it earlier, but these cows currently have 250 food in them when you get them. That should be 200. So this strat, the extra food in each animal are going to be really, really nice. Let's see what he has in mind with all these cattles. But what they will be doing is generating a lot of influence, and they'll be fattening there. Actually, worth pointing out, the livestock market actually fattens much slower in age 1. And then when you hit age 2, it speeds up a bit. But still, the total fattening value of the livestock market is half of a livestock pen. So the livestock market not nearly as good as a European pen. But it is also a market, and European civs don't have influence. So when you put it all together, it sort of works, I suppose. But just wanted to mention that here, since these cow shipments are very relevant. What do you think he's up to with all these cows?
I know exactly what he's up to. So with a deck name like that, there's only one thing that's coming, and he's very specifically saying
an absolutely fantastic banquet. Perhaps.
Yes,
a delicious.
I suspect we're going to be having a very delicious banquet as well. It's going to be nice and early. He's going to be invited. Yeah, he's going to be hitting us with the very nice timing that I became familiar with. Probably, I think it was last night. I think I became familiar with it, but essentially, 33 units at 6 minutes is the number that I saw. So his starting cards, I can't remember exactly how he goes. I think it might be 6 Raiders, followed into the 12 Dervish, and there's something funky that he does. It's not quite standard. So we'll take a look exactly what he does. So 6 Raiders straight away coming out. Camp Builder going to continue moving up the map. We can see that it's rallied towards right outside the base of Knuschelbar. So he's up very early here. We take a look over at Knuschelbar. How long until he is up in the 2nd age? He actually just hit the 2nd age as we moved over to him. So he's up in the 2nd age now at 4 minutes and 10 seconds or 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Yeah. He's got a couple of hunts out here, but unfortunately these hunts seem a little bit too far away. I don't know if he's going to be able to get these hunts into his base in time. It's
such as the nature of Tassili. All the hunts are in the middle of the map. I just want to address something in the chat. Semi-fattened in Age of Empires 3. means 2/5. Why? Because that's just, I don't know, that's just what it is. All animals that are semi-fattened have 2/5 of their maximum food. So 500 food is the maximum of a cow, 200 is the amount you'd get in a semi-fattened. But here come the 6 Raiders. What a card. What a card, man. I mean, currently you're getting 1 extra than you should be. So, I mean, that's also going to help him here. A's got a lot of things stacked in his favor for this super fast, aggressive build. There's that tower. We're going to see some units pop at it. Songhai, big button coming in. And we're going to see a lot of Raiders in this guy's base. I mean, thankfully he's Dutch Drongo, which means you get up at a respectable time because Dutch just age quickly, which, come to think of it, might be why Ottomans was also quite good and maybe why Dutch has been picked here as well. You just get up more quickly, you can keep up with your opponent. But without the animals in his base, yeah, you're right. Mind you, there is some dead under the TC. He's got a gazelle herd kind of nearby, so he's okay for the immediate future. Look at this, picking up these, he's killing off those monkeys there, going to pick himself up some exotic fruits worth 70 XP. But these Raiders, what are they doing? Sieging down the market. I mean, they have reasonable siege, especially for a cavalry unit. But is the market the right thing to siege? He's giving, I think, Noosh a fair bit of time to keep gathering those resources. These Raiders could be pushing those villages inside the TC, but not doing that. Perhaps waiting for the next unit to show up. And here it is, the Desert Warrior.
Yeah, so 5 Desert Warriors coming in behind this. So we're at 5 minutes 50 at the moment. A batch of 3 more Desert Warriors coming out now. And at the same time, he's got the Sudanese allies that are going to be called in. Colonial Militia, or Town Militia as it's now known, coming into the town center. Going to be firing off at these Raiders. He's very selectively chosen to put only 9 in here. And I suspect that's because the town center... Oh, it doesn't actually have a bonus against cavalry. It's the towers that have got the bonus against cavalry. But,
it has a bonus against raiders because they're tagged as, well, currently tagged as siege troopers.
Oh, they are too.
Yeah.
So, does it have... Oh, I can't see it anymore. Yeah, all right. We'll have to have a look out and see whether he starts one-shotting these units or not. They do have 180 HP. I'm sure he's done his homework and worked that one out. Yeah, more units beginning to posture out. Here comes the next batch. So 6 minutes 30 now. 12 Dervish coming into the base of Knuschelbar. We take a look over at Noosh. We see he's got a couple pikes sitting in there. And Dutch just doing Dutch things. Putting up banks. Shipping the town militia from the home city. And just sort of playing it old school, you know. Trying its best to just sort of chill out, but a little bit concerning, I would say, at this point in time, just because of how decent this mass is. But keep in mind, he's got 20 villages in this town center right now. That is a lot more than he needs, I'll say that much. I feel like probably twice as many as he actually needs in here, but at the end of the day, there's nowhere really for his villages to be other than here. There's no berries sitting at the back of the base, there's no hunts, there's not even a tree in a good spot here, unfortunately, and we can see now that A's beginning to push in.
Here we come, Minutemen coming in. This is the unit that's actually good against the cavalry and outposts as well. But the Minutemen sort of counter them. However, the cavalry up on the top of of his base now. The Minutemen not going to be able to get their bonus damage off on those siege troopers, so to speak. Instead, they are being zoned away by pikemen, which I suppose is okay, but not many pikemen. So ultimately, just being boshed down. The more units principle. And by the looks of it here, he's doing quite well. Okay, Minutemen, but they have lost most of their hit points. Are now able to do some damage to those raiders, but looks like A's being very careful, sort of trying to pull them away. And they now, because they've lost so many hit points, they're dead. They're gone. They're easy to pick off with the dervish. Some reinforcing units from A's as well. Dutch really having a hard time being able to do anything here. Those villagers not even able to gather hunt, does indeed lose one as well. He's got units on both sides of the base, he's got full vision of wherever the Dutch player might be gathering, and look, sieging down that barracks, they're about to go down, and every villager built up in that town center. A really nicely executed rush from Aizamk, which is also on the strong side for a variety of reasons. The extra cattle you get at the start of the game, the extra food in the cattle ship, the extra unit in the raider shipment, and perhaps some other things as well. But A's, you know, it was 2-1, and his deck did say so. And here he is making sure that it doesn't go to 3-1.
Yes, that's exactly his intention. So many units just coming in for A's. It's incredible to see that not only was he able to perform a crazy rush like this, but he's not even all in. He's up to 20 villages at the moment. He's got 2 villages in queue. He's looking absolutely fine behind this. So people might be in the chat thinking, this guy's, you know, very clearly all in. As long as Knusch holds this, he's going to be fine. Well, I got bad news for you. Not only is Knusch not appearing to hold this, but he's not going to be fine even if he does hold it, because Aiz is still in this. He's sending 700 wood now from the home city. Going to be dropping down all of his infrastructure with that. We're probably going to be seeing additional houses go down, maybe even some trading posts. Now, talk a little bit about the trading posts on this map. It's one of the few maps where trading posts don't seem that attractive. What's the thought process behind this and the way that it works? Do you think there's a best way that you can play on this map with the trading posts the way that they work?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, if you want to get Stagecoach, then it's kind of hard because they're both, no matter which route you pick, one of them's near your opponent. I guess you pick the one closest to you because that's easier to defend, and also the other one is kind of not in your opponent's base. But Stagecoach does seem, you know, pretty hard to pull off on a map like this, so there is that. But as an African Civ, I mean, you don't mind too much because you can get influence from the trading posts without having Stagecoach. So, seems alright.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. But we do see now Knusch is still building up in his base. He's dropped down, I think this is his third market for this game so far. We're not even at 10 minutes yet, so working to an average of about 3 minutes on each market. So if this game goes for 30 minutes, it's a 10 market game. H2O would be very proud. But a little bit of a difficult spot now for Aiz because he's got this TC firing down. It's not like he's got an overwhelming amount of units, though. Like, he's able to come in, he's able to idle, but it's not like he's really able to secure meaningful, long-lasting damage here. There's been a villager or two that have gone down. We see that Knusch is sitting on 21 at the moment, so not an unhealthy amount of villagers. I guess my concern, though, is Knusch actually looks like he's somewhat holding it together. And, yeah, we now see the 700 food coming in for Knusch. Some players don't like this card, some players do. In a situation like this, where you've got no hunts under your town center, you've got no berries in your base, it's an important card to have.
It's very good here, and this is why, you know, you might put it in some matchups and have it not in others. But yes, not a super amount of villager seconds worth of resources, but food. Yeah, and look, he's sort of held out. He's got food coming in from the crates. He's got coin coming in from the banks, which, by the way, were working whilst he was belled up. So another reason why Dutch might be pretty good there whilst you're holding a rush. And as a result, he's going to be able to train plenty of units, or possibly, I mean, he's not training any units. Possibly age up. Is that on the cards?
I think it might be. He's up to 1,200 food right now. He is gathering in some more hunts, trying to bring them in a little bit closer to his town center. Doing so successfully, but you can see he's at 600 coin right now, on his way up. So another 400 coin, and he's going to be in the third age. So Knuschelbar definitely, you know, sticking with it and making sure that he's not giving it up, never surrendering. And as a result, it means that Aizamk isn't going to be able to show how powerful this rush is just yet. Maybe he'll have to do it next game. Who knows?
Yeah. It won't be that strong either. That's encouraging. Yeah, I love it. Fortress Ace decision. If he can get there, it's very well. That's obviously where Dutch wants to be anyway. But skirmishes with all that range are going to be quite good against House's sort of lower range units. The Fulani don't really keep up with you in that way, and Reuters just a much more cost-effective and easy to maneuver anti-cavalry than pikemen, which is kind of what he's relying on to keep those raiders and other units at bay. And once you just get those two units out, that's where you can really feel a bit more mobile, a bit more confident. And yeah, going up with the Exile Prince by the looks of it, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, wants to get up there nice and quickly. Thing is, though, he's a bit vulnerable right now, but he did just manage to hold out against all of that stuff in his base. So once you hold out against that, and you know you've sort of adequately countered it, there's not more stuff. So you have a moment to try and get things together and go up, which is kind of what he is able to do, is doing. And, oh god, that's not a lot of food, though, is it?
It really isn't. He's in a bit of a difficult spot. I'm curious if there's any mercenaries in the deck. There isn't. I would have loved to have seen something like the 12 pikes in here, but one of the things to note, he could always be sending in the religious freedom card, try and opt towards those Stratiots. Would be quite a decent combination here, but he is opting for the 9 Reuters instead, so it definitely makes a lot of sense in this position. But I guess one of the things to note is that by sending 9 Reuters, you're not really taking advantage of your lack of food. The best thing to do in this situation, probably send the more food-heavy units, like the skirmishers, like the hussars. It's going to make a lot more sense, just simply because of how difficult it is for you to gather in that food. But we now see Knusch going out to secure this hunt. Doesn't seem to be any units in this area. He's got this nice little wall up. He will know that the majority of units for Aizamk are going to be up in this northern region, so he should be relatively safe down on this hunt. So it's all about him securing this food. As long as he can secure this food, he's going to be in a decent spot. So almost a little bit of a misplay here from Aiz in not recognizing that he should be trying to control this hunt. I'd love to see him just even bring up a villager and just try and lame this hunt, prevent Knusch from even getting onto this hunt at all, because that's definitely what he's trying to do.
And perhaps this is one of the advantages, in a weird way, of European civs, or non-African civs, rather. You can herd them all the way back to your base. And yes, you could do that as Africa, but then you wouldn't be putting a granary down quite so quickly, and you'd not be getting that 10% hunting. So, yeah, I guess, yes, hunts wander less as Africa, but you also don't get to shoot them all the way back. And look, these mid-map hunts are now basically in Knuschelbar's base, which is encouraging, because that is, as you mentioned, what he sort of needs. Look at this. Nice Reuter mash now. Mash? Mashed potatoes, Reuter mash,
Reuter, yum.
Coming out, and it looks like he's got enough units to not be so timid and afraid anymore. Like he was in his base, he was completely belled up. Things didn't look great, but now he's got on his feet and he's got some units. And now, but okay, what's Aizamk going to do about it? He didn't manage to keep him off the hunts, but he did manage to send Rumpfer's riders. I thought it was, and is now able to train Lafidi as well. And once he gets a respectable mass of them, if you can, I mean they are quite expensive. Oh, here are some Reuters in the African player's base.
Yeah, Knuschelbar doing a very nice raid here. 13 Reuters now, so getting out the 9 from the home city as well as a batch of 4. And just doing a little bit of raiding, picking off a single villager, and now running into some Fulani, so bit of a difficult spot for him. Gonna get caught up here. First Reuter gonna be going down.
Run, Knusch! I looked like he managed to get away, although raiders are quite speedy at 7.25.
Very, very
7
quick.
speed. Yeah, nice. I wasn't able to snare though. Whilst we've got a bit of a lull in the game, catching those Reuters, I wanted to catch up on the coffee trade narrative, because you always want it to make your units move faster, but the narrative of the card is actually that your villagers, your civilians, and your people are betting or trading on coffee's futures, essentially. Like they're investing money into stocks or coffee, like and they're spending less time doing their actual jobs and things like that, which I think is why ES originally made units move slower. So moving faster doesn't actually make as much sense.
So
and
just
I
to
don't know why I wanted to clarify.
They're not eating coffee beans, just to clarify.
They're trading them.
Okay.
They're spending that. All right. I don't know why I felt the need to clear that up, but now I have done so.
I think the whole discussion came up originally because Ethiopia's got access to a card in Age 4. I can't remember exactly what it's called.
But that one's about consumption. It's literally called coffee consumption.
It gives them plus 10% movement speed and also plus 10% anxiety. So it increases the likelihood that they will, what's the word? Desert.
Oh boy.
So Aizamk.
Or need to go to the lavatory or something. Yes, Aizamk. Tell me what Aizamk's doing.
Aizamk is definitely up to something up towards the north of the map. He hasn't trained any more Lafidis at the moment, but he's got 5 in queue though, so that is definitely exciting. When it comes to the Reuters, the way that they work, obviously it's range damage that they're going to be doing. When we take a look at how much damage they're putting out 48 ranged damage a shot. In total, there's 16 Reuters. I'm just going to do some quick math, but that works out to be a lot of ranged damage. Probably somewhere in the region of about 700. So when we do our calculations, and we see exactly how well the Lafidi Knights do, they've got 30% range resist on the 460 HP, so it's probably not going to be enough. I do suspect they're probably going to get one shot by the Reuters. Let's see if he focuses them down. How is Knuschelbar going to be doing? Because he seems to be caught out a little bit of position here. His Reuters are trying to get onto the Lafidi Knights, but we see that not all of them are getting their shots off, so it means that not all of the Lafidis are staying alive. And they're singing that song. We see Halberdiers coming in on the back line, and now attention getting diverted into multiple different spots.
I get the Halbs are good, but they're sort of they're not being supported. Well, I guess they are kind of being supported, although now sort of walking through there. A couple of it's always fun to see Halbs connect with cavalry, that's for sure.
Yes, it's a little bit like I'm trying to think of a way to put it nicely, but yeah, it's definitely fun watching Halberdiers or Doppels or any of the big beefy boys connect with cavalry. They just make it look so easy. But now the tides have definitely turned. I feel like Knuschelbar is in a pretty decent position at this point. Do you feel the same way?
Looking at the scores, yes. Well, actually, they're kind of even. Looking at this fight, looking at all the things we've seen, I think so. Sorry, I was distracted by doors opening and closing. It looks like everyone's gotten back and is walking through the living room. So yeah, just to remind everyone, if you weren't here at the very start of the game, I've had a week off. I'm not at home at my family home. But let's get back into this fight. He's chasing down Reuters with cavalry that are connecting. I guess the Berber Camel Riders are pretty good at that.
Incredibly good. I'm just watching them right now. They seem to, I think, 3-shot or 4-shot Reuters. The Berber Camel Riders are absolutely insane in this position. They really do so much work. This is an incredible composition from Ace. He's going just full cavalry. He's got the Lafidi Knights, he's got the Camel Riders, and he's got the Javelin Riders out, just absolutely doing a triple counter composition. He's also got the Lafidis, or the Fulani archers that have now come in. I think he's sent these ones through from the home city. No, he hasn't. He's just trained up 9 Fulani archers. So there you go. But the fact that the camels do so much damage, so they're doing 23 damage each, times 2, 46 damage, bypassing the resists of the Reuter, because the Reuter have only got range resist. So doing 46 damage each, they 4-shot a Reuter. No wonder they're so damn good. And on top of that, they don't have any of those heavy cavalry tags. They've got hand cavalry, they've got light range cavalry, they've got the cavalry tag, but they don't have heavy cavalry, which means that the Reuters aren't going to be countering them. So a very good counter unit for the Hausa. Impressive stuff.
Counters here are hand infantry and skirmishers, actually. Anything that counters a dragoon will counter a Berber camel. But yeah, no, putting them to very, very good use indeed. What's coming out of this artillery foundry, though? I guess nothing, actually. Has he trained anything so far from it?
Not that I've seen, no. Yeah, I think it was probably intent. He obviously gained a lot of momentum as he moved towards the south of the map. He thought he was in a good spot. Put this artillery in a bit of a forward spot. Didn't realize that it would get burnt down. And it's one of the mistakes I make a lot in games that I play, is I misplace my artillery foundry. It's such a pivotal building. And, you know, whether you get those falconets out can really determine the result of a game. And by putting it forward like this, it not only has it indicated to your opponent that you're intending to make artillery so that he can begin the necessary counters, but it gets burnt down. It gets sieged down very quickly when it could have just been sitting in the back. And it's difficult. It's it's an expensive building. It takes a long time to build, so it's a very tough consequence and a lesson learned, hopefully, for Knuschelbar.
Yeah, but it's always so tempting just to slam a building down wherever your idle villager happens to be.
It's so true. It's so true. It's like, oh, okay, there. Right there.
I guess it's going here.
that's the middle of the map. But they're idols. They got to do something.
It's a great place. Great place for my plantation estate, rather.
I remember casting a game. It was a 50-minute game, and the estates went down in the middle of the map, and I just remember thinking, why though? And at the very end of the game, it resulted in the estates were simply just idled because the player had not put them underneath the town center, and it was just, it was a very obvious thing. So it's definitely not the first time someone's thought of it, but now we see the Reuter mass beginning to build, being able to take out a lot of these camels, but we see just how difficult it is to take them out. It took a lot of shots right there. Palace getting a couple pot shots on the Reuters of Knuschelbar. But the question is, how does Aizamk react to the Reuters here? Because once this mass begins to build, once it hits up to, say, 40, 50, and he starts one-shotting even the Berber Camel Riders, what does he do from there? Because that's sort of the critical mass that's very difficult to deal with. Obviously, you can go Fulani, but
cav switch.
Yeah, the cav switch is coming in now. So veteran Hussars are in. Looks like in addition to that, he's got 10 of them. So shipping in 5 from the home city as well as making 5. We take a look at Aizamk. He's sending in those Lafidi Knights from the home city as well.
Yeah, they're going to arrive at this palace, which is definitely going to help. Here comes some Berber Camel Riders. Can you take them out? Looks like the Reuters are coming around to try and deal with that. But, those raiders, pardon me, Lafidi's going to pop out at this palace here. But Knuschelbar determined to push. Here comes some skirmishes. Wow, I don't know why I got caught up there. But still, this fight looks like it's going okay.
It's going quite well for Knuschelbar at this point.
Yeah, the cavalry have actually done a lot of work. I think, big 10 cav arriving all of a sudden has managed to catch Ace off guard. And as a result here, he's able to take this fight, clean it out, and now this palace and these villages are exposed.
It definitely seems that way. A huge mass of cavalry here for for Knuschelbar. And you're 100% on the money. It's definitely taken him by surprise. The fact that he only lost one cavalry unit in that entire fight when there were multiple Berber camel riders. Now he's going to be losing villages as a result. If we do a quick stock take, 36 villages up against the 42 of Aizamk. And not only that, but there are banks back here working hard. He's got all 5 banks up. So at the moment, probably sitting about the equivalent of close to 16 villages up, 12 villages, 16 villages.
The other question is how many universities does House have? Is the other question.
Let's take a look. I see 3 palaces. I see
But
one university.
Not many unis.
Yeah, 2 universities. One in the main base, one down here to the south, and they're not particularly strong. Not very well fortified. He does have the palaces, but yeah, no universities on those. So yeah, not the highest return rate, but now.
The point is his eco's still sort of pretty good, but the Dutch banks kind of even it out there. So
yeah.
Fairly even positions by the looks of it in terms of economy. A's is slightly behind, but only sort of slightly there. This is still sort of an even game. And after that fight Knuschelbar just took, he's able to clear out that palace, this war camp, and he's now sort of capturing the middle of the map. I suppose, though, the question is, what happens next? Because map control, yes, Knuschelbar's able to gain some of that back, but there's not a lot of resources left, or at least there's not a lot of huntables left, which is going to mean that, you know, perhaps, I guess, there's, just those ostriches?
Yeah, that seems to be it. And then there's a couple of dead gazelles in the middle here. Also a hunt up here to the north, which players may begin fighting over. It appears that the majority of the action has come up towards this direction.
Yeah, that's good. That's on Noosh's side, but it is near a palace as well, so interesting. But I suppose is where does the game go from here? It's like who can get. Look at all those villages on wood on that fig tree. Like the question now is like, who gets up mills, plantations, and fields in like? Is the game going to move there? I mean, Dutch player certainly thinks it is. He's teching log flume. Yeah.
Look, if you're tagging log flume, you probably think that the game is going to be going for a little bit longer. So Knuschelbar definitely investing in it. I would like to see Knusch from here invest in an arsenal. I'd really like to see him. Oh, is that an arsenal? It's an artillery foundry. Damn, I got so excited that I'd almost predicted that. But I'd love to see him drop down that arsenal, get ranged cavalry caracol in, and really try and get those upgrades in.
That 2 extra range and the extra. Oh man, that's yes. Yes. No, he's not doing that just yet, but that would be absolutely delightful. God, just no food. Like, no food at all. So, I guess we take a look at the armies, and we take a look at A's his food income. Is he... Yeah, he's basically... Both players just chopping. Big Benny, though, coming in. Oh, no, 8 semi-fattened.
Yes.
Okay, so that they're not actually semi-fattened, by the way. They're just regular, not fattened. They contain the minimum amount of food.
Yeah,
another...
100.
So that card gonna get significantly stronger at some point. I would imagine when it's corrected. But they are a source of food, I suppose. And Africa is interesting in the sense that like eating those cattle is not actually always terrible, especially if the livestock market you're making use of that and so on. There's also that hunt near the palace there. So I think A's is in a good spot. He's got cows fattening up. He's got a little bit of hunt left. The question, though, is it enough hunt? Is it enough food to, like, make a meaningful impact on the Knuschelbar whilst he doesn't have any sort of income, or whilst his income's very low? Does Ace have access to sufficient natural resources to really cause some damage, or will Knuschelbar sort of be okay behind that wall, and will he be able to get up his mills and sort of continue the game as normal, is I suppose, the question.
I guess one of the other things to consider is that Ace is going to have access to the fields, which are significantly cheaper. But I guess there's something more important on the field to consider right now. And
boy, yeah, no. When you don't have food, what unit do you make? You do have banks. Well, I think here it is. Oh boy, that took out the palace. That secures him. I think there was food near that. No, he's being eaten actually. Oh wow. Okay, so and to
25
boot, all
villages.
of these Reuters able to protect it as well. So he's in a great spot. These cannons that's perfect.
Yeah, that's really worked out for Knuschelbar. The fact that he's able to use the falconets, which don't require any food, to secure a food source, and now we can just see how many villages he's got sitting up here on food. He's a very happy chappy right now, able to clear that out, but we can see his score beginning to pull ahead of about 3k. It's amazing the things that food will do for you and your score. But speaking of food, Range Cavalry Caracol now coming in for the Dutch player. He's got 33 Reuters here, so going to be providing a lot of assistance. plenty of skirmishers out as well. 25 skirmishers,
That is,
a really
that is
nice
a big
composition.
army. And now Dutch back on the food income as well. Things getting back to normal. He's going to be able to start massing units properly again. That sort of lull in his production where it looked like he was quite vulnerable, and A's might be able to push in since he still had a bit of extra food lying around. That's gone. Look now, Knuschelbar back up where he needs to be, making lots of units. And this is what has Africa got to handle it? Just some javelin riders. There's a palace going up. They 60 seconds to build. Some villagers there trying to get it up a bit quicker, secure him some protection, because this is where his fields are. Although I'm not sure how. I mean, players, people seem to think that that they're like aggro-forts, but aggro-forts do 3 area damage, I would point out, and have a lot more hit points. These don't do quite so much area damage, but still, it's a decent defensive building. It's going to be able to buy him some time. But the question is how much time? Because falconets, if not anything else, are great against buildings.
Yes.
Among other things.
Yes, very, very good, very effective against buildings. Comparable, or much better so than, say, organ guns or Gatling guns, anything like that. That's more suited towards infantry. But I guess Ace is in a very difficult spot right now because
decent full of warrior mass though. And there's not as many javelins. How many cows he got back there? He sent the 9. Well, yeah, he's trained some more by the looks of it. Has he now got selective breeding and transhumance in? Click on one of those cows. Not yet, but I think that is an upgrade he'll be working towards. Transhumance, of course, adds, I think, 0.15 influence per second to all of your animals, regardless of their fattened status.
Wow.
So boost your influence income by
potentially double.
Yeah, it's very, very good, especially with goats. That upgrade, I think we'll see a lot more of it at some point, especially in the late game.
Yeah.
Though not got it now, but that's not really the relevant thing right now. I think right now what A's wants to focus spending his resources on is not upgrades for the late game, but some way to deal with those cannons. Like, what do you do here? He's not got too much influence, but culverins would be an answer if you've got the imported cannons tech researched. Although there's a lot of cavalry as well, you'd have to think about protecting them. I think that's the main issue. Like, what do you do here? How do you beat those cannons? That's the thing that's sort of really threatening the army that he actually does have. And you know, if he gets past that palace and onto those farms, I think that could spell the end of this match.
Yeah, well, I think that there's definitely 2 answers to that question, but unfortunately, both of them require influence. So the first one would be the Santa Horsemen with their bonus against artillery, as well as having a resistance against any siege damage. That would be the first way I'd be thinking. The second one would be those European cannons.
Coming in, I just wanted to point that out whilst it was still being teched. But yeah, tell us more about what you were saying.
Tell us, what is this tech right here? Berber Gorfers?
Yeah. This tech, it makes mills, plantations, fields, etc. Slow enemies down that walk over them.
Oh.
So, and this definitely sounds like an Aizamk thing, right? Like I mentioned earlier, one of his strongest mechanics is pops. He's very good at timing Minutemen with a shipment of units, with a batch of units, with some magical church tech that spawns units, with some other thing I'm sure that spawns units, and just slowing units down on those fields by 30% is and you only need 1 field. 1 unit needs to be affected. It slows the whole group down, right? That's just how formations work.
Yeah.
I'm not sure those fields are in the right spot, but A's, I don't know if it's just A's being A's, but clearly he felt the need to tech that. Maybe he wants to set up some kind of trap with the fields. I mean, that's kind of what they would be good at.
I think it might be that, but the difficult spot for A's is that obviously he needs Culverin out to try and deal with these Falconets. The opponent has had Falconets out for a really long time. A's actually just throwing down the good game well played right there, realizing that the death push or the death ball could not be stopped, and well played going over to Knuschelbar.
Yeah, well done. Good use of falconets, I suppose. Kind of helped that the resources sort of ran out there, but Dutch was able to keep pumping units which cost coin, but you know, those are still great units all the same. I'm curious about the Berber Goforas, but we don't get to see him make use of that today, but still interesting there. Taking a look at all resources gathered. So Aizamk kind of ahead early on, but Dutch sort of catches up there towards the end of the game by the looks of it as the resources run out.
Yeah, take a look at this idle village account here. It looks like Aizamk isn't even on the graph when it comes to the idle villagers. It's not until the 14th minute where he's actually got an idle villager. And meanwhile, Knuschelbar was just idle for, gosh, the entirety of the beginning of the game up until maybe the 13th minute.
he did have a lot of units in his base, and he was in that town center a lot. So makes sense. And
It does.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at the military unit count. Yeah, at the end you can just see it beginning to climb more and more. Knuschelbar was up to 100, whereas Aizamk was down on 43. I guess the
Let's see
difficult
the
thing...
population graph.
Oh yeah, let's go and have a check of that.
I mean, it all looks the same, but it might look slightly less. Actually, it looks kind of more exaggerated.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Hold on, let's have a look. Military unit count. Yeah, it looks...
Yeah, I guess a house that
Wow.
has a lot of 2-pop cavalry, so his unit counts... no, that doesn't make sense. Never mind.
I guess...
Either way, a good game. A 30-minute game, and Dutch winning it
Yeah.
here. So continuing our theory that civs that age up quickly, Ottoman, Dutch, are good picks, perhaps, against Africans. Although that rush did look quite powerful in the beginning, and what won it in the end was just surviving long enough. And
that was honestly it. I guess my main concern was the fact that he saw those falconets out so far in advance, and it's, how long did it take Noosh to roll down that side of the map? It must have taken him close to 5 minutes to get from one side to the other. Aizamk had plenty of time to know that there were falconets out on the field, but still we didn't see culverins out to counter. Now, obviously, there can be, lots of different things that people could throw at, but I would be thinking that would be the response you'd want. So perhaps it was a difficult spot for Aiz, not having enough influence or not having the right techs, obviously needing European cannons research to be able to even make culverins in the first place. So,
I mean, at some point in the game, like where you need a big culverin switch, something that we like doing was doing a royal banquet, and then you just mass a bunch of culverins off the back of that if you really need to. I mean, you do tank your eco for it, but if you've let your opponent get into a position where they've made like 5 or 10 culverins, then, well, how did you let them get there, I suppose?
yeah.
is the question. I mean, it happened quite naturally in this game because the ecos were very big, but by that point in the game, you also have other ways to deal with, artillery, like Senna horsemen or lots of Lafitte knights and other things like that. But yeah, he used his royal banquet quite early, so A's using that to fuel that super aggressive rush that we saw, and didn't have that available.
Yeah, that's exactly it. There's a huge opportunity cost there by using the Royal Banquet in the early game. But Knuschelbar now moving to match point. That was the 4th game in the series, so we're now going to be moving to the 5th game. Keep in mind, if Noosh wins this game, he wins the series against Aizamk and takes home the prize in the African Championship. Let's jump into the 5th game. Inter, you ready?
Oh boy. Actually, no. I think I ought to get a glass of water if you don't mind.
Of course. You take your time.
I'll be 1 sec.
I'll keep the kids busy. All right. If anybody in the chat right now is lurking, I want you to say yip for me. Give me some yip, 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 yip. Do you guys want to watch the video? Do we just watch it? Let's watch it right now. I know that EGC TV is going to be like, no, Drongo, don't do it. We're a family-friendly channel, and I'm just going to be like, yip, 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 yip. Look at you guys. Oh, my God. All right, you guys want to watch it? We'll watch it. Give me a second here. Yip, 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 yip. Yip, yip. Der computer. Yip, yip. I'm searching. Oh, here we go. You guys are just going to get the audio, okay? Hold on. You're not even getting the audio right now. Let me fix you guys up. Here you go.
Lookbook. Yep.
All right, there you go. That's enough. That's enough for you guys. Yep. That's enough. Harrison in the chat asking, is this a Tawny cast or no, Harrison, this is a yip button.
All right, hello. What's going on?
Oh, hello. Nothing. We're just being very professional and talking about the state of modern technology.
Oh boy. Good stuff.
All right. Yep. All right. Time to get into the 5th one. I'm going to pause the game as we get in. And, oh my gosh, look at that. All right, you ready?
All right, yes.
Okay, so we're looking at Knuschelbar. It's hard. This is going to be actually difficult for our. What I might do, I might actually see if I can change the UI just quickly, because we've got a mirror match here. It's going to make a lot more sense for us so that people can actually see who we are spectating. So I'm going to do my best right now to just switch that one over. Give me a second. All right.
I get the private stream. I get to see what's going on behind the scenes.
Yes, you do.
Oh, what's that beta there you've got in a different... Oh, no, I'm joking.
Please. I need that.
There was no such tab for clarity. But let's do this.
All right, just give me a second. I'm just going to fix this one up. All right, so now we're just going to move everything into the right spot. Put Knuschelbar up here. Make his name a little bit smaller for you guys. His 3 is going to have to be a bit smaller as well so it fits inside the box. So I'm just doing this so that you guys are able to see the perspective of the players that we're looking at, because it is a mirror match. Both players playing Ethiopia, so when you look at the flag, you're not going to know who's who. It might be a little bit confusing. And so as a result, I just want to make sure that you guys can see which player we're viewing at what time.
Good thinking. Have you thought about... Do you have a Stream Deck or not yet?
Yeah, I've got a Stream Deck. I don't really use it that much though. It's one of those things where you get it and then it's like, well, you know, it's.
It sounds like it'll be super useful, and you end up not using it too much.
Yeah, it sits all the way over there, and you know, I'm my fingers are back here, that sort of thing. All right, well, that should all be fixed up for you guys. Hopefully, looking super duper good now. I'll make A's one a little bit smaller, but there you go. All right.
Where is A's from? Which flag is that? That flag is the Malaysian flag.
Yes. All right, you ready to get into it?
I am ready.
All right, let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, spawning on the bottom of the map in the color green, we do have Knuschelbar playing as the Ethiopians in an Ethiopian mirror. This is the match point in the grand finals of the African Championship. His opponent, Aizamk, on 1 point. So an uphill battle from here, but Aizamk, a very competent player, as I'm sure everyone watching will be aware. And certainly a player that's very creative, and certainly a player that is very good at trying new things, as that is really all he does. So if there was anyone to win an uphill battle such as this one, I think Ace has a fair shot at it. But it will be difficult. However, it is an even matchup. It is an Ethiopian mirror. This African Championships has featured mostly African civilizations. Games 1 and 2, as you saw earlier, were African mirrors, although different African civs, followed by 2 more games, but Africa versus a free pick, so players get to choose what civ they would like. And now I think it's just free pick, I think. Is that right? But if that is the case, both players electing to play Africa anyway, even though they don't necessarily have to, which tells us something, really, doesn't it? That Africa
it does indeed.
must be quite powerful at the moment. But yes, Ethiopia versus Ethiopia on... This is actually so beautiful, on Highlands, which is more or less Ethiopia and Eritrea. So on the home map, in the Highlands of Ethiopia and Eritrea, we have an Ethiopian mirror.
It's yes, it's quite the map for it. I'm a big fan of this map. I do love it. One of the things to note about this map, one of the reasons why I love it so much, is because of the natives that spawn here. So you've got the Sudanese on the south, and then on the north of the map, you've got the Somali. And you might be wondering, okay, Drongo, why are you such a fan of having those two together? So the Somali have got a tech which reduces the rate of fire in melee of your archer units. And the Sudanese have archer units, that being the dervish. And as a result,
yes.
Your dervish, which have a rate of fire already of 1, which means 1 attack every second, and it goes down to 0.65, which means every 0.65 seconds they're doing 1 attack. I don't know exactly what the maths is behind it, but it is absolute insanity. They just get up there with their little daggers and they're just chopping away. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, they are shanking indeed. But speaking of shanking, it looks like Knuschelbar is going to be doing a bit of shanking of his own. sending in the Trade Empire as his first card. So reducing the
Oh,
cost,
boy.
increasing the hit points of his trading posts, and sending in that all-important trading post wagon, which comes in right now. So a bit outside the box. I don't think we've seen anything like this before, Inter.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Trade Empire. That's the Asian Dynasty's version of Advanced Trading Post, but it also fits African Civ super well. So they have that card as well. And I mean, this is a map with a lot of trading posts. So if there was a time to use it, this would be it. Although, oh no, come on, you can get that in there.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, it goes in.
Ooh.
It goes in. I don't know what's up with sockets, man. I don't get it. But like, we just gave the trading posts a range, like more build range. Like,
Yeah.
what is build range? Well, they have it. We thought, okay, let's just try and fix it with that until sockets get fixed properly. I don't know, but it's working. So he gets it in there. That's good. I'm good to see that. At least, he sent this card. He gives him a trading post away. It's really, really nice. Okay, but I think that's what's up, right? It's a big trading post map, and let's see how Trade Empire works out.
He kind of
They're
reminds
cheaper
me
now
a
as
little
well.
bit of Great Lakes. You would have played the original Great Lakes where you've got all the trading posts around the outside of the map. I think there was 6 in total. It was on one trading line. It appears that this is actually 2 trading lines, so I suspect that they're probably independent, individual, meaning that if you upgrade these 3 trading posts, these 3 down to the south aren't affected. But still, you've got those 6 trading posts that's out towards the edges of the map, so a very, very cool map. I love this map a lot.
Yeah, this doesn't work like, say, Colorado or Dakota, where they get upgraded. It upgrades the other one. These are independent routes, I'm fairly sure.
Right.
Anyway, what's his opponent, Aizamk? What is he up to then? Because I don't think he sent Trade Empire. Instead, he's just got the 1 trading post and appears to have sent Trinity, I would expect. So somewhere around the map, he's probably been treasuring really hard, which I really love doing as Ethiopia, and then that Aboon can sort of heal you up, which is kind of nice. And then the Aboon can sort of head home and build a mountain monastery or gather on it when you get up to the next stage. Speaking of which, what age up has he sort of elected to do?
He's going up with Habesha, so both players going up with Habesha here. Aizamk's deck is named I'm in Trouble, and I've got to agree with him. He's down 2 points at the moment. Match point is in order for Knuschelbar, so he's definitely in trouble. He's going to be looking to secure a second trading post down here to the south. He's got a camp builder and a mountain monastery builder sitting in his base, as well as 3 chests of coins. So let's see where he drops this camp. Does he decide... He was going to place it in base initially, but now actually... this is concerning. Yeah, I guess my concern right now is that Ace kind of looks like he doesn't know what he's up to. He placed down a war camp, or a tower, and then he cancelled it. And then he put down a war camp. And now he's just put down a house, and he's cancelled it. It's like, oh no, Ace is on the ropes right now. I don't like to see this. Let's see what he can get up to, though. He's sending 700 wood as his first shipment. He's still got a lot of his cattle that he started with. He's still got 3 of them remaining at the moment. It looks like he would have just eaten the first one as well.
Just get a lot of value out of them then, just keep them going. I mean, but you said Ace doesn't know what he's doing, but I think what he is doing is adapting. He's I think noticed the high number of trading posts from Knuschelbar, who now has 3 plus a native 1, which by the way is affected by the Trade Empire, and has decided that okay, he's doing that. I think I ought to build myself lots of trading posts, so he's built 2 himself, so it does deny Stagecoach a little bit. I think he's got 1 on each route, something like that.
Yeah, so he's got 1 down here, 3 up to the north.
Aizamk, I mean.
Yeah, Aizamk has got the 2 down here to the south.
Okay, so just on that bottom route. So he's not going to deny Stagecoach on the top one, but he's got most of them here. But Ace, okay, now up to the Commerce Age, and going to open with a influence shipment.
Yeah, sending through the 700 influence, so not a common shipment that we do see in the second age. So yeah, one of the curious decisions. I'm wondering how he's going to spend this. Going up with Habesha, do you know off your head what technologies they have available to them in the Mountain Monastery?
Yeah, so there's the one that increases the it enables your mountain monasteries to generate coin and influence without being on a mine.
See,
but that's not.
That's a tech that
useful.
I actually suspected would be very good in Treaty. But obviously there's an opportunity cost. If you invest in that, you're going to be losing out on something else. But I said to myself, you know what, this would probably be really good in Treaty. You get 5 or 6 of the mountain monasteries out. They're all doing, they're all getting their permanent influence. So it's not a bad idea, but
I mean, it's probably good in Supremacy if you go super late game, and you might want to age with them to, age 4 or 5. Although if you do that, you're giving up Arabs, which is always a shame.
yeah.
And then the other one enables the building and unit hit point aura. You get 10% HP to nearby stuff near a mountain monastery. That one a bit cheaper, 500 influence, and it's kind of like a 10% bonus to hit points for all units, including villages, which is it's all right, but you do have to be near a mountain monastery. But they do have an absolutely huge line of sight, so that's not always it's useful defensively, and maybe if you want to place a mountain monastery kind of forward, it probably won't be on a mine. But if you're about to take a fight, it's a bit like playing Lakota, I suppose, where you might build a TP sort of near the fight. So those are the two techs there. I think it's Timcat, and the other one is Relic Entertainment. That's it.
Right. Okay. So I guess my question is, what's he going to be doing with that influence? Because he's gathered it up. He's got 700 influence that he's sent from the home city. He's got 900 influence sitting there now. So do we potentially see something else sent in? Maybe we see those all-important cannoneers from the home city. But it looks like he's going to be finding himself in
Maybe
a bit of a difficult spot here.
Is it a fast fortress? Just keep the influence? Like send 700 coin now, age up.
Oh, that's a good call. He does have Big Benny. He could sell Big Benny right here, actually. There goes Big Benny. You were on the money right there, Interjection. Good insight, but unfortunately, despite his high-level tactics, it appears he's going to be cornered, unfortunately, as the Dervish do run him down. Going to get snared up by the Explorer, slowing down all of his units to less than 3 movement speed. And you don't less than 3 that, do you?
Sorry, I was engaging in chat there.
No, you're right. It's okay. I was making a pun. It wasn't a good pun. I'm not sure if if anyone would have really gotten it, but that's okay. Prize Bull now coming in for Knuschelbar as well.
I'm really interested to see what he does with the influence, because Knuschelbar, by the looks of it, spent it down a bit. Trained some Dervish, I think, from that trading post. Whereas Aiz is kept all of his stockpiled, ready for later. I do like Nush's position, though. Yes, he spent his influence, but he's got big army. He's got lots of trading posts. Although, whilst I do like this economic position, Aiz is still able to contest them at the top, and all of these units he's trained are kind of bunched down the bottom here. He's being run around by these Gassenia.
And
the Dervish do catch them, though.
Take a look at them with their big knives. They just do so... Like, they do incredible damage against Gascania. That is just ridiculous. So 14 damage, 1.75 multiplier. So we're talking about... What is that? 26 damage in total? 25 damage, potentially? Then it bypasses...
It's the same multipliers as a Yurimi. Like, it's literally a Yurimi that has a bit of range.
It's just... Oh my lord, it's such a great unit to watch. I love it. But yeah, now we see the big boy coming in. Looks like a couple of...
And a horseman.
No, not yet.
No, it's the Ethiopian mortar. Sorry, it's this low bitrate stream I'm watching to cast with you. Either way, though, they're both powerful shipments. The mortar, that's what you want. He's up to age 3, sending it now. Yes, he has fewer trading posts, but that thing is on a siege, so... maybe not for long, although I guess it would be kind of hard to get the mortar up into these positions, especially since it's kind of slow. But there it is.
Yeah, you'd really have to take it around, sort of give it a visit. You could probably even just sit up on the plateau and just go and visit each of the trading post sites and take them out from the safety of the plateau. I'd like to see that done, but one of the things to note is that that now with the push, he's just sort of sitting here in the base. He's got that elite upgrade that's come through, or is rather he's working on that elite upgrade that's about to come through. But both players hitting the 3rd age. Scores looking very even right now. 128 for both players. Almost identical scores at this point, despite Nush having a significant advantage when it comes to the trading post. But he's going to be burning down that TP. And a difficult spot here for Nush, because it means that he's continuing to lose these trading posts. He does replace them, but obviously it's going to be costing him wood every time they go down.
But not as much wood. He did ship Trade Empire, and they're a bit stronger as well, so they do last a bit longer. His big boy mortar coming in now as well. I was going to say something about Aiz. Oh, I think the reason he aged up with Habesha, those 2 techs you unlock don't seem super appealing, but what you do get is It's a decent age up in terms of the reward, and you get to make those kingdom builders in age 3, which is really that's where they're super good, right?
Yeah.
Because you can make town centers on the cheap. And now he's in age 3, so perhaps he will be thinking about that. I mean, he's opening with the mortar, but you'd be kind of silly not to. It's just such a good opening. It's got high siege. It'll help him deal with these trading posts, which is kind of what he's doing. It's kind of safe. But maybe next we'll see some town centers. I'm kind of wondering what Ace has in mind. I mean, that's one possible future. Doesn't look like it will be the case just yet, though. Instead, going to get some center horsemen and make a big push by the looks of it. He was stocking up all that influence we saw earlier, and has now managed to get to the Fortress Age and spend it down. So instead of spending it in the Commerce Age, he's spend it in the Fortress Age and get more, value for money. And here he is. He sent his big boy sooner, and is able to start, doing some real damage sooner.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this push. I think this timing is going to be absolutely on point for A's. The center horsemen are running out. And one of the things to note is in this matchup, obviously the big boy is very pivotal, but there are ways that you can counter him, and the majority of people are going to be using the dervish to counter him, but then the shoe gets put on the other foot because now we see the center horseman running in, and there seems to be a distinct lack of anti-cav right now. So the center are just absolutely, they're in here, they're somewhat unchallenged. We can see the big boy on the back line. The dervish aren't able to really get up on the front line and connect with the big boy, so unable to really do it. And we take a look, the big boy does go down for Knuschelbar. It looks like the Oromo warriors coming out now for Knuschelbar, going to be able to take out this one in melee, and look at them bypassing that range resist. It's going to be taking down the big boy. Both big boys going down now.
They need a 0.5 multiplier. Bypassing the artillery's range resist is definitely not fair.
Yeah. The dervish do take it out very quickly, but we can see just how easily that fight was won by Knuschelbar. A huge.
I love the center horsemen there. Like dervish, as you mentioned, were just a great choice for handling other artillery, but what dervish aren't good against is super tanky cavalry units.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But, still we saw... I think those Oromo warriors were just so perfectly timed. When they came out of the town center, I think you and I both knew the way that the fight was going to result in going. But it was just one of those things where now Noosh is able to push up somewhat unchallenged. We take a look at A's. He doesn't have any shipment available. He's got a relatively small military, only 14 Gasquenya out at the moment, and it's not going to be able to do much considering that his opponent's got 12 dervish, which by themselves would be easily able to handle that. We do see a couple of Neftanya in the mix as well, but is it going to be enough to hold on in interjection? Do you think there's anything that A's can do to bring this back?
Well, I mean, both the mortars going down kind of resets the game a bit, but you're right to point out that army is quite threatening, and Knuschelbar behind this has lots of trading posts as well, so, I mean, it's not looking ideal. He's got some Gassenia in queue, but they're not good against the dervish. What is that tech coming in? Is that Oromo migrations?
That is tribal societies, so... If I remember correctly,
either way, it's the villager technologies. So gonna increase the hit points, and maybe that's what A's wants, right? Like just gonna jam the villagers in there. I mean, you're definitely gonna lose if this army dies, so why not chuck the villagers in and hope for the best? But at the moment, just trying to escape. I guess any are quick, but I'll tell you what's faster.
Is it the dervish?
I think so. Yeah, no, you got it right.
Yeah.
He just wants to get away. He just needs to get away, get back to his base. That shipment's coming. But at the same time, right, he's made these dervish, these green units wander around the map quite a bit. They're not in his base, stopping his villagers gathering. What they are doing is sort of chasing him down. He's losing some Abons, I guess, but they're not as useful now. He just needs to hang on. And he's got dervish of his own coming. He's got some Gassenia in queue. So I guess this is the big push, and perhaps with the villagers, maybe something meaningful can happen, and the game can sort of reset. But at the moment, yeah, Knuschelbar, this is his game to win.
Yeah,
or his game to whatever the phrase is.
Yeah, it's his game to lose at this point. He's definitely in the driver's seat. We see the scores now beginning to really burgeon. And A's even saying in the chat, "You nice score." Yeah, yes, A's, yes. Oh, I love Ace. He's just such a character. We take a look over at Noosh, and Knuschelbar just doing Noosh things. The casual 3.5k food stock up. He's the winter is coming, and you know, he's making sure the reserves have got plenty of food in there. We see A's now sending the Dervish in from the home city, but I suspect it's only a matter of time until the Dervish are probably going to be going down, because Knuschelbar's army is just looking quite formidable in this position here. We see the huge amount of Gascania, who's got 28 elite Gascania, as well as the 19 Dervish.
Coming in.
The Gascania combat coming in as well. Yeah, good call on that one. So 15% damage going over that way. And A's 11 saying, good games, well played. Congratulations.
There it is.
Going over to Knuschelbar, and what a series.
Knuschelbar takes the finals. Of the African Grand Championship. Oh man, he's not resigned just yet, so it's in the vibe.
There we go. There we go.
That was good fun.
Oh man, that was impressive stuff. Knuschelbar really putting on a display. I think a lot of people tipped both of these players coming into this tournament that we would see these two guys in the final. So really no surprise. But I definitely didn't expect a 4-1 Knuschelbar victory. I did think it would be a little bit closer, or even have Aizamk take it out. So very well played over to Knuschelbar. Congratulations for winning the African Championship.